I know what you're thinking. You're thinking it's about time we had a guest on the Coffee Break Show. And today we got a rocking guest. We're going to rock your world. But as you know, first and foremost, it's time to listen to the music. See you in a minute. You're on the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life channel. I'm Vicki Helm. This is the Coffee Break Show. And today in the house, we have Lindsay Mustain. Girlfriend, welcome to the Coffee Break Show. Woo-hoo! I'm so excited you're here today.
I am thrilled to be here.
All right, they're already there. There's my better half. Thank you for being here. Oh my God. I love Lindsay Mustain. And it was Wendy. Of course you're here. Girlfriend, nice to see you. So glad you're here.
She must have felt her ears burning. She must have.
I know she must have. We were just talking about you, Wen. It's like, yeah, I may have to we should just pull everybody on. I see you guys popping on. Do me a favor and put your name down below. Become part of the conversation. We are about to have one of the most powerful conversations today. I was talking to Lindsay before we got on here together, and we were like, okay, we have no set questions at all. None, zip, nada. And we are going to be talking about what it means. And at first, I want to say a couple of things. Hey, Wendy, great to see you. Let's see. I can't wait to hear the magic. Thank you very much. We're going to be magic today. And wherever you are on, if you're on whatever channel you're on, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Spotify, if you're on Pandora, if you're on Roku TV, Amazon TV, wherever you are, welcome to the live. You will be able to get this recording. Hello, world. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited to see you guys popping on. Thank you. Thank you. We are going to start it. Hello, world. Looking forward to this show. Thank you, Karen. It is lovely. I'm so excited to be seeing you today. Lindsay, I'm shutting up right now. Welcome to the Coffee Break Show, my friend.
Oh my gosh. I am so excited and so hyped. I mean, I love that we have this kind of engagement already. So I'm so glad to see all of you and to talk. We are literally going to talk magic today. That's what we're going to go into the weird. We're going to go
That's
into
true.
The
it's now world. Instead of Wednesday welcome, it's going to be Woo Woo Wednesday.
Woo Woo Wednesday. I am so woo. I'm surrounded by crystals right here. Like, I am ready to do this.
Okay, that's so great. Listen, first off, I just want to say congratulations. You just got your 2 Comma Club award, and that's a big deal. That's a lot of work. And I wonder, could you just share a little bit about what you do that earns you that 2 Comma Club award?
Oh my gosh. So what I won 2 Comma Club award was my my most popular program, which is called Dream Job Hack. And in fact, we are opening enrollment for that here tomorrow after celebrating reaching 2 commas. Cool. So you can go to dreamjobhack.com. What is Dream Job Hack? Well, I was a recruiter for 18 years before I left corporate America, and I was Amazon's it girl, their most visible employee. They gave me a job that had never existed, finding the most elusive talent on the planet. So think there are 3 people that can do this job. Lindsay, go find them. So that's what I would do. And crystals do rock, literally. And I would go and find them. And that process was all about reverse engineering that process of what I would do to go find the most elusive talent on the planet. So instead of acting and hoping and praying for a call back for an interview, that you get the right opportunity, which is really aligned to your zone of genius, that you do at the right company, the most targeted organization that's really aligned to who you are as your purpose, and being that part of that purpose-driven work. And then the last part is at the highest salary you've ever earned. So on average, somebody who graduates from Dream Job Hack earns $52,000 more. No certification, no education required. Give me 9 weeks and I'll give you 2.1 job offers if you do the work. So there is no other program. I am the very best in the world at what I do. And it is because I used to do it for companies. Now I've taught you how to become that candidate of choice, embody the high caliber candidacy, and create your own job without ever having to apply. It's absolute madness that it works, and it is complete magic.
Oh my God, I think that's so incredible. And one of the things that I really appreciate about that is that when you want to level up in your career or whatever you're wanting to do, most people think go back to school. And today I'm going to stop you from that. Do
Please
not.
stop.
That's the debt trap. Just go to dreamjobhack.com and do that. And congratulations, really, because to me, in order to receive the 2 Comma Club award, you really have to go to the point where you are serving a lot of people. And I mean, really serving and helping and doing and learning and mastering some of the things. Wowza is right. Thank you. And I'm guessing that wowza must be Wendy. But that's the thing right there, that is so important. It's like serving for winning and helping other people. Congratulations. You deserve that. That's really great.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, I have this mantra, which is, my story goes back to, and well, I think we're going to go deeper into some of this, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel a big call to serve the world. And so 80% of my business is completely free. In fact, the program that I'm opening, if you spend 90 minutes with me tomorrow, I will absolutely transform your career. Now, if you want to make that time faster, you want to go further, you can do that with me. But my goal is I'm here to change the game because I know how broken it is. On average, the
Yes.
likelihood somebody can apply to a job and get a job is 0.4%. 0.4%. So if you
Oh
were
my
thinking about
Lord.
like you have a sinus infection, you need to go to the doctor and they gave you here's a remedy for it. It's going to work 0.4% of the time. I don't know about you, but I would probably choose something different. And
Yes.
the answer is not education. I think that it has its place, and if you want it for the experience and to deepen it, that's great. But I went school at night for 10 years to be qualified to do the job I already had. So
Wow.
I just need you to know education is not it. You have everything inside of you to create this. The challenge is you don't know what to do or who to say it to and what to say. That's what we really
Ooh,
cracked
say
in the
that
process.
again. I think that was key. You don't know what to do, who to say it to. Do the
Or what
3.
to say.
What to say
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
who to
that is
say
so
it to.
yeah, so the secret here is you don't know what to say, you don't know who to say it to, and you don't know what to do in order to land the job. Nobody trains you on this. The program you've been getting, which is apply and pray. That's a great
Yeah.
hope strategy. Hope doesn't build results. So we want a strategy that gets results, and that's what we're trying to do. We want to take your career destination, your trajectory, your career design is really what I've called this category, which is creating your own opportunity. And it sounds mad until you've done it. And I've had 6 people graduate this week on average. Like the person who graduated yesterday, now he's supporting NASA. He had a $50,000 raise. He has 1 year of related experience. Now that's his power position,
Wow.
which sounds not super great. It sounds awesome the way I've just said it. But truly, he's got more than 20 years of experience. He's already well qualified to do this job, and they would be lucky to have him. That's the power of the reframe.
I love this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is so important. You people are watching right now. I know I have a lot of entrepreneurs on, and this right here, hope is not a strategy. Thank you very much. Let's see.
Hope
Uh,
is not a strategy, and that is in business and in
and
career.
most everything. That's right. So I want to jump into the what when we talked last time. I'm gonna switch gears right now.
Let's do it.
I have to throw in the woo now. I just wanted to say congratulations for that, and that's what we're gonna do. Listen, if you're driving your car and you're listening to the live, chill out. Everything is gonna be added below. We're gonna add everything into the stream down below. There'll be links to dreamjobhack.com. We're going to put you in place. You just relax and drive safely and be safely and watch that, and you can still get this. I want to go ahead and talk about what it means to you, because this is a very big subject. And I asked you, what do you want to talk about? And you were like, I want to talk about what it means to be a sovereign human being. And right away, that's a subject that is profoundly at the top of my mind. And I am somebody who lives it die hard.
No, I
And
love
then I thought, I wonder what her definition is before I start spewing mine. So I just want to talk a little bit about, what that means to you, and how you've built that sovereignty into your world, and why it's so freeing or important to you.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is so first off, I'm reading your book and I'm just like, what I'm watching is the sovereignty come into play, right? Having to call that into existence. So let's just define what sovereignty means. If you think of like a sovereign of state, that means that you're the ruler of your dominion, right?
That's right.
So I want you to think of your dominion as let's go even wider. It's the entire universe. The entire universe is your dominion, and you get to choose and create and curate your reality. Every choice that you're making is that. Now, when I talk about being completely sovereign, it means cutting all connection to others. Now, when I say this, I have a huge heart to serve. It doesn't mean I don't love my children. I'm
Mhm.
not connected to them. What I mean is that what I choose is best for me primarily. I choose for my own decisions, my own knowing, my own awareness, my own divinity before I
Mm.
let others influence. And then I have a scientific mind. So everything I teach inside of my programs, it's all based on science and results. So I'm looking for causation and causality, but I
Mm.
choose based on what I know. So what I know and what I feel are a much deeper indication of what is truth than what has been given to me programming from what I would call the collective consciousness, which is the beliefs that have been inherited to you by primarily your parents to start with, and then your society. I grew up in the church, so this is going to be really
Mhm.
weird for them to hear all this stuff. And then the conditioning that we've gone through school and work.
Mhm.
And those beliefs have become ingrained to think, play small. You know what? Like be a cog in a machine, work until you're dead. And then that's a good life. Wait until you're retired to have fun. All of these things, or that you trade your time for money. These are all beliefs that we have to shatter as true sovereign human beings. It's choosing to create our own destiny. So when I talk about
Yes.
career design, or when I
Yes.
talk about changing your job, I talk about your occupation as there are 5 core areas of wellness in your life. One of them is occupation. Occupation for me is the secret to unlocking the rest. So if you want financial freedom, your occupation
Mhm.
typically gives it. If you want physical freedom, health, your occupation will allow you to have that. And to stop trading your time for money and trade your value for an investment. And these reprogramming, these core beliefs, that's what has, and I'll tell you, it's a hard thing. I was a homeless
Mhm.
teenager. I have experienced a lot of tragedy in my life, and the reprogramming of these thoughts is what allowed me when I start. I'm just gonna. Is it okay if I swear a little bit here?
You you
Yeah.
you just do what you need to
I'm
do.
like, I call myself the Antichrist of human resources. That's what the spirit does. And so I don't give a fucking shit about what anybody else thinks about me anymore. Now it might hit me like they got past my armor. They might a little bit. But when you see me with pictures and I have my crown on, my crown is me choosing that I am the authority of my life, that I am a goddess in essence, and I create my own reality. That's what I believe it is to be sovereign.
You know, this is so important what you just said, because here's the first distinction about being human. The number one distinction about being human is that humans have been gifted with the ability to imagine. So fish don't imagine, elk don't imagine, elephants don't. This is a strict gift of humanness, to be able to utilize your imagination, to be the first cause, the first thing that you can check in and imagine something that you want and make it into reality. So that to me is defining how we move up in consciousness itself. When we move up in consciousness, we suddenly have the ability to imagine, visualize, dream, transform, and become. And do it with some sort of consciousness and awareness as we're looking at it. And what it means to become sovereign to me is that first thing that you just said, the ability to check in with yourself and talk to yourself and ask yourself questions about what your future would look like in being sovereign, so that you can create what you imagine or what you actually want about that. And I want to talk about that and jump in a little bit deeper with you. And I'm sorry, they're talking, and I have to pop this one up. If you know, Vicky, swearing is optional.
I was like, it doesn't really fly very well in human resources, but that's why I say, like, I am here to destroy human resources and not the, like, I don't want to say unemploy. I think repurpose people into doing
Repurpose.
actual alignment into what is about the true talent amplification, which is what I do. I'm an oracle genius. I can look at your gifts, I can package them, I can tell you the narrative, I can tell you how to become the candidate choice, how to become the offer of choice in essence, and really see those gifts at the most divine level. That's really what my true highest gift is. I don't tell people necessarily that because they're not ready for that. So when you're coming down my journey, we're going into the rabbit hole. We're going into Wonderland. We're going to
That's
show
right.
there's a lot of magic. There's a lot
That's
of
right.
energy healing. There's a lot of weirdness. And the more you get deeper into it, the more you know that I call on the universe. I call on my guides. I use crystals to amplify my results. Everything that I do you is very woo behind the scenes. But what I also talk about is the masculine energy of the strategy and the
The
implementation
practicality.
in essence. Yeah, because one is
Yes.
embodying, and you need to, in order, like the earth is the embodiment, right? It's the growing, it's Mother Nature. We grow
Yep.
and we nurture. And then there's the other part, which is the masculine energy, which is the result, the doing, the action. And we rely very heavily on this. And it's why, like a lot of people, unless you're actually embodying what you want to become, you have to be before you can do. Can I say
Did
that
you hear
again?
that? Wait a minute. That's worth repeating. You have to be before you can do. You're being intentional. Yes, you are. Robert, nice to see you on, my friend. That keep going, because that was
Yeah.
so significant. You have to
You have
be
to
before
be
you can
before you
do.
can do. So you
Now,
have to be before you can do.
let me ask you something. Where
Yeah.
do they have to be before they can do?
Well, so being is, let me be really clear
Or
here. The one
how
thing
do they have to be?
yeah, I think the part of this, people are like, who do I look for? Who do I go to?
Mhm.
What do I have? And I want you to think of all these inputs and stimuli that are around you. The universe is just presenting you options. I was talking a little bit about this morning, and I'm like, when you see something come by and you're like, ooh, I like that. Like, ooh, I like that. Ooh, I like that. So your choices are deliberately curating your own experience. That's the first thing. So what I want you to go, that it's actually not inside of you. The answer is in here.
That's right.
This is where we're getting into, you have to tap into. So chakras are one of the energy systems that I work with, your master chakras, but your heart is kind of your heart chakra right here in the center of your chest. This is the destination of your soul. And people here are going to be like, that's weird or that's not weird. I think if you're listening to Vicky, you probably are all okay with this, but this is where your answers are. And your chakras are at the very lowest level. We're talking about safety, security. We talk about creativity. We talk about confidence and radiance. We talk about our heart being aligned to our true purpose. We go into our throat, our consent, our buy-in. How do we create
Truth.
ideas? Our
Mhm.
truth. At the third eye, where in Namaste, when people do that, you're
My favorite
accessing
place.
your knowingness. And at
Mhm.
the very highest is your connection to your higher self, right? So
Yep.
the crown chakra. So all of these things, they filter down. Your soul is like a portal, and it goes between all these energy centers, but it really resides in your heart. So what I'm looking for you is to turn inside, and you've had this. You've had it your whole life. You've been conditioned to not believe it. You've been conditioned that it's not true. If it's not in the Bible, and this is how my Bible would say, like, it's not real. Well, the Bible was curated by a bunch of dudes who kind of chose,
638 of them, to be
yeah,
exact.
yeah, it was like a bunch
638
of dudes
dudes.
who wanted to create a narrative that they would rule by, right? Like tithing wasn't a thing. Now tithing was a thing because it became a church thing, so that we know that we create money, and that money creates power. So all of these things, these are collective consciousness beliefs where they're like, it was written by God. I was like, no, technically it was written by a dude. Now I believe that we are all part of God, so, or the universe, or source, or whatever. Insert your
That's
maker
right.
of choice.
You are that. You go, girl.
Yes.
Speak
Yeah.
it.
So that if you tune into your heart, you know. And here's the answer. Have you ever gone against your gut instinct? Have you ever gone against it? And your gut, like your gut is really your solar plexus. So
Painful.
this is the first place where you're immediately, and it can, and let me be really clear, your gut is not the bias. Bias is 100% there. There's over 150 human biases. Even I have like a guy named Ian bias. If your name is Ian, you're probably going to be at a disadvantage for me because I had a strange kid in my class when I was a kid. So I have an Ian bias. So that's another weird bias that we all have. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the weird sixth sense that you've had when you're not safe, or when this decision, like, even though it seems amazing, it's not good for me. Or the sense that, and I'm going to call you out, who's ever listening, because I'm getting the sense I need to say this, you're doing something in your life right now that you know you shouldn't be doing, but you're going along with it because it's going to either tick somebody off or make somebody very sad that you love to walk away from it. So whoever needs to
Wow.
hear that today, that is for you. It is okay to choose what is best for you. The moment that you put your oxygen mask on first for you and listen to your soul. And I mean, I walked away from a marriage 10 years this year based on this. And my ex-husband, he's still my best friend, still like the father of my children. We have a very close relationship, but that was not meant to be a marriage. That was meant to be a friendship. And the moment I let go of that, it was an anchor that freed me. So if you watch, people have said things have changed for you, Lindsay. You look younger, you look happier. I'm like, I'm in better shape. And what I do, literally nothing, except let go of the baggage that kept me small, that diminished my light when I tuned into my soul.
Lindsay, it's just amazing. First off, I have to say this. I want to put this up because I read the post this morning too, and I just think he's being really funny, and I have to say it. You have to be before you can do, just like she says on her profile, tacos over pumpkin spice.
That
Okay,
was
so
my advice today.
I
Because
know,
in the
I saw
reality
that.
world,
There, I
I saw
said
that you
it.
were like truth. And I was like, tacos win for
That's
me.
true.
Tacos win.
That's
I mean,
every
I think
time,
pumpkin has its
hands
place.
down. Yeah.
But
And
not
thank you
pumpkin
for the
spice.
Malamar picture, Robert. I saw that. Hey, look at this. You said that for me, Lindsay Mustain. Thank you,
Oh.
Wendy. Oh, God, there you go. Oh, God,
If
I'm
somebody needs
hugging
to
you,
give
my
you
friend.
permission. A lot of times, the first step is somebody gives you permission to
Mm-hmm.
move forward. And then you can look inside and go, does that resonate? And this is where, is it bias? Is it conditioning? Or is it my higher self? And
Yes.
that's where like we have to work through the layers of our
So
belief
great.
systems.
Thank you. I just want to bring this up to people because sometimes the issue I think that happens is we get trapped thinking that we are what we think. And thinking is not really who you are. You're actually the soul behind the emotions, behind the thinking, the observer, that quiet observer. If when you're in your soul, you'll realize that it's very quiet. It just has knowingness. It doesn't have to think about things. That's why I always tell everybody your heart has no questions and your mind has no answers. It is that knowingness that comes through and speaks to your gut because your gut is unbiased, just like she's saying. That gut feeling, yes, no, red flag, whatever, that moment that happens, that is a solid answer. The question is, can you remove your mind out of the way? Because what happens to a lot of people, Lindsay, I think, is they get to the point where their gut goes off and their mind starts going, but wait a minute, but what do you think they could do right now when that but comes up and they start thinking their way out of that actual knowingness?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So that knowing, and this is where you're like, I believe, and there are so many things where the marketing that we have, and I want to say I'm a big fan of sales. Like sales is what
Mm-hmm.
changed my life. Like I'm so thankful. I wouldn't have this jacket unless somebody had sold it to me, right? Like everything in your
Sure.
life. So I've bought a lot of things and my ideas. And so I want to say like a lot of things that are happening are being influenced by other. So I'm saying this because I want you to buy stuff. Like for me, I'm not going to actually tell you. People are like, what do I need to do? And I was like, like I know. You know who does though? You. So what I can do is,
That's
as
right.
long as you can speak it to me, I can distill it, I can articulate it back to you,
Mm.
and then you're like, whoa. So what I want you to like the knowing here is that the first thing, if you just the question that one of the intuition pieces for me is, what if I just knew the answer? If
Yes.
you knew
What
the
if you
answer,
just did?
yeah. So that's the first question. So if I said that and I took away all the other like doubts or what ifs or but, like what if I just knew the answer? So a lot of times, like I'll give you an example this morning. So I'm going through and I use essential oils as another one of my plant energies that I use in my work. And I'm like, this is sage. I don't know if it is sage or not. I mean, I don't know. I pick it up. Guess what it is? It's sage. Like And so
It's a plant spirit medicine.
it
Just bring it
is. And
forward. Yep, I'm
yeah,
with you,
so this is where I'm
girlfriend.
like, you actually have these connections and you can
Yep.
communicate to it, but it's a practiced skill that we have diluted, that we've ignored for so long. So the knowing part says, this is where the universe comes by and they're like, hey, look, I'm going to give you an example. Hi, I'm a 2 Comma Club award winner. I never thought this was possible until I saw somebody beforehand with it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm here to show you it's possible because I'm about as average as they get, except I am loud and passionate. So if you're seeing this, I want you to know it is possible for you too. And the universe has brought you here to this moment for me to tell you, yes, you can make $1 million and you can do it in a single funnel. Now, I went from leaving everything. I left everything. I left corporate America. I left my 6-figure career. My husband was a stay-at-home dad at the time. I had 2 small kids. And what I had was a knowing that I
Yes.
believed beyond belief that I could do this. Okay.
Oh,
And
you're
it
making
doesn't
my
mean
hair stand up.
there wasn't not a doubt. There was 100% doubt. That's the humanity in you. It's in your ego, which is here to survive, right? Your ego is here to keep you safe, keep you alive. That's called the amygdala too, also in your brain. It's here to make you sure that you don't die. Okay. You're not going to die for this, by the way. And let me give you proof. Hi. Breathe in, breathe out. You've survived up until this point every single day. Okay. So
Yep.
trust the universe has got your back. I have if you can't see it here, but I have something on my wall and it says, everything you want is on the other side of fear. So we talk about fear mastery a lot. Fear mastery is the secret here. Yes, everything. Let's see here. I don't know if I'm going to grab it actually. Everything you want. This is the quote that kept me going when I started my business. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. Do it anyway. When you act in faith, the universe will bring it to you. And like intentions are one thing. If intentions are one thing, but when you say but, or how, those things are, go find somebody who can teach you the what or the how. Trust that it's come to you now and that your moment is to listen to the path. Okay. And the universe will bring you what you need at any given point. And to the point where I said, I felt very called to talk to Vicky recently. And she literally messaged me that same morning that I was like, I really need to talk to her. I didn't find out. I didn't think what, I didn't think how. She messaged me and said, would you like to be here? And I'm like, did you know? Did my soul talk to you? Like, how did this happen? So, and that's another how. But I'm like, that's it. The universe brings you exactly what you need.
Thank you. And the audience is going crazy. I just need to pop over here and say hello and go, Lindsay's so right. You use your intentional ways to visualize what you're looking to do. There's always a way to do it. Then you take the actions to get where you want to go. Thank you so much for that. Let's see. When I hear the word but, my response is always the same. The only but I know is the one you sit on. That's right. You go, girl. Guy. Sorry about that. Let's see. What if I just knew the answer? Now, that kind of courage and that kind of calling yourself out is how you get to be first cause, which is then when you put yourself in the driver's seat, this right here. And I want to let you know, she is dropping bombs so fast. I can barely keep up with her. So what if you just knew the answer? What if that's the real truth? I got to say, I've seen Wendy, say that to me. Like if I asked her a ridiculous question and she's like, what if you already know the answer? And I'm like, oh God, stop that. But she's that smart.
We need
always.
that reflection though. And this is where like the power is in surrounding yourself. So I'm very like your energy and this gets a little, and we're all new age here. And I know we see
Let's
quantum
just
physics.
do it,
yes.
baby.
Yeah. Stop connection with everything. We are all connected and we all vibrate at levels. We can actually measure this. So I'm not just talking like in theory. We can all measure the vibration, the electromagnetic pulse inside of ourselves. And we all vibrate at different levels. One of my favorite books too, by the way, and I don't know that Wendy even knows this, was Power versus Force. For me,
I love that one. I love everything by him, David Hawkins. Everything. I have the whole series.
It's so good. So I was
it's like, so good.
When I have people go through my program, like at the higher level, I'm like, this is something you need to read. You need to understand how energy works. And if you're living and you're like, things are hard, guess what? Raise your vibe. Okay. And I'm not saying
right.
anger
Simple.
is better than grief.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's not like, but to go find joy. So somebody, I remember, and I'm going to tell you, I'm in a $100,000 mastermind. And she sat there and she said, just choose what makes you joyful. And I go, that's crap. And that was my belief. And guess what? That's humanity. Whoever says follow your joy. Now, granted, that's a being, right? And then there's the doing. But what gives you joy and what gives you energy, that's your genius. Okay. So that when we talk about that, that's what you're meant to do. So when people are like I am really passionate, and I think it's important for me to define career power now, which is like what you're passionate about is not necessarily the answer, but what you find purpose connected to. So I'm really passionate about petting my cat. Now, that's probably not going to be a monetizing business for me. Although I said, what if we every time you bought a Dream Job hack, I sent you a kitten? Then it could be something. but that may not be for everybody, but that was an example, right? So you can, but you need to have passion and purpose. And then you need to know really truly how to pursue that. And whatever that is, and that's really the up level of your career, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're an individual. And then the very last, and this is how you know you've got something that's not just a passion project, is massive profitability. And that's that.
Yes. I want to stop right there because I know there are a lot of spiritual people who think that spiritual gifts and spiritual businesses, they shouldn't charge and blah, blah, blah. Massive profitability. I always tell everyone, you want all the money, all of it, all the money. You want all the money. The reason you do is because you're going to do more good with it than if all the money goes to somebody who has nefarious thoughts or plans. You want all the money. You're supposed to have that. Thank you for the profitability piece. This is something that I think is so important because people think spirituality and spiritualness needs to be poverty stricken. I'm like, no, it doesn't.
Give them to the church. Wonder what the agenda behind that is.
Yeah, think about that.
So I say that because the people who hold the power typically have the money. And so when you have more, you can give more. Okay.
And
So
do
it's kind of,
more and change more and raise
mhm.
consciousness more. I want to tell you, shout out to Ben Ebig. You know, we love you, my friend. Whoop, whoop. I see you guys. Listen, I have her on, and you guys are talking a mile a minute really fast. So I'm just going to let that happen. And we're going to continue the conversation because I think what she is sharing is fundamentally the most powerful form of being able to create your life, change your life, make a new life happen, reimagine who you are and that transformation. Now, when she just came on, I want to let you know that she's uber successful. She is definitely somebody who is put together well emotionally, and she has been through a lot. I'm not saying that you're going to get this even path because life can throw stuff at you that is harsh. I mean, so harsh. And she makes it look easy, like everything has been easy for her. And I know it has not. She has overcome a lot. And I want to talk about having to overcome things, or let's say managing trauma or
Oh,
managing your life when you're on your way to success. Because sometimes you can get hit so hard in life, it can knock you over and you don't know how to get back up. How did you get back up? And I'm going to let you share whatever you want to share. And if you
now you're
don't want
giving
to
me
share,
a,
I'm
I,
giving you privacy, anonymity, and whatever you want to share.
well, I'm going to, I find that secrets don't bode well with me. So I like to just tell them, if you go look at what I talked about sharing my 2 Comma Club, I said, it's not all puppies and sunshine. Like, I know it
Mhm.
looks like that because I have great lighting and great skincare. Okay. I get
And
it.
a great personality.
But I was talking with my kids this morning and I said, this is whatever I want you to know, whatever you believe and know in your heart is the truth. It is not what Lindsay thinks. Okay. What Lindsay believes is true for Lindsay. But you chose your path before you got here.
Agreed.
And
I'm
I
with
was
you.
thinking, like, you're like, what level of difficulty? And I'm pretty sure I was like a 9.7, please. So I 10 being the high. I thought that would be fun, right? And because our life and our experience here, I want to say, like, you're kind of an avatar in a video game. That's this reality, okay? Your
Yeah.
soul is not good nor bad, if I'm honest, and no experience in of itself
There's no
is good
duality with
or
soul.
bad. Yes,
Mhm.
we just are. It's like saying the
Mhm.
earth is both good and bad. So I was talking to my kids and they said, geez, does that mean that, like, you need to have bad parents to be good? And I was like, no, because we get to choose. That's the power of the choice, right? And that's the power of being as a human being, as your soul is in this matrix environment. So
Mhm.
you get to choose. And so I believe that I chose something very hard. And so what I think of is, like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's also what's made me incredibly compassionate, incredibly heart centered,
Yes.
is the
Yes.
trauma. So I always say there's gifts in trauma, and and I say trauma doesn't mean, like, I've been diagnosed with PTSD. So
Mhm.
I'm just gonna say, like, I've been through hell and back. I'm still smiling. That's the one thing. So you can recover and you can shed those diagnoses. Like, that's just a
Absolutely.
classification from the
Absolutely.
medical community. But so I'm going to say that a lot of my awakening happened through the trauma. So I was very abused as a child. I was kidnapped as a child. I was a homeless teenager. Okay. I had, not even 2 pennies to rub together. And the first time where I was making $11 an hour, I felt like I was rich. I was so excited to have work and do something that was really powerful. And I played by the rules a long time until the rules never let me be truly authentic to who I was.
Mm, mm,
I was sexually
mm.
assaulted. And then I decided to, when I realized how much I could help people, there was a message, a voice, a spark that got ignited in me. And it took me a while because I was raised in that consciousness and that collective of be small, fit in, don't be loud, don't whatever, all the things that I am. Like, don't
Mhm.
be yourself, Lindsay. Okay, stop trying to blend in. I gave up on that. And the more I got power in my voice, the more that happened. And I believe that we choose a lot of the experiences. So I was sexually assaulted, and that caused me to have PTSD, and to the
Of
point where
course.
I don't talk about this a lot, but I couldn't even spell my name. I couldn't spell my
Mhm.
last name. I couldn't repeat back a series of numbers. I didn't know how to get home. I had this, my brain was literally broken from the trauma. And so
Yeah.
I've had to reintegrate that part of myself. So if
Mhm.
you think I'm sharp now, you should have seen me before. But So that was one of the things. And it was one of the ways that when my awakening was that life is really short. Life is really short. And so that was one moment for me. I just 2 years ago, my brother was murdered, and he was I tell the story. If you want to go look at my timeline, I'll talk to you about facing my brother's killer, which would just happened a year ago. And what it was like to face that, because I walked in, and this is where I'm going to just be really clear. And I can talk about this because when I talk about having a divine access, my brother's with me. Like, I can talk to him.
Yeah.
So it's a little weird. And so whether or not you believe that or not, you've had spirits in your life, spirit
That's
or
right.
source or souls. They're here guiding you. And he's fine. So I'm going to say he was tragically, brutally murdered. He was stabbed 104 times. We spent 8 minutes dying on the floor. All of these
Jesus.
things that I could sense. And I had to face his murderer. And I also asked for a plea bargain. Why did I do that? Because my brother's soul told me that it was intentional. He chose this. He chose that.
Wow.
And that experience was meant also not just for him, but for me. And my choice to choose to serve humanity and to help awaken it and enlighten it and to show a better path and to give you hope that there is something for your after. So that is what I'm here to do. So when I talk about, I do a lot of work that's very much in the tangible masculine work side, but it is all comes from the knowingness of a divine connection to source. And I carry a prophetic message, in essence, of healing and of you to awaken to what your true nature is, which is that this isn't real. Like, this is, you cannot be destroyed. This is an experience
It's
that you have
true.
chosen. And that part, when there's something that says, in 5,000 years, nobody will care what you did today. But in this moment, it feels so overwhelming. It feels so scary. But that is the collective conscious. That's your fear.
That's right.
And the things that have been designed to keep you small. And I'm going to say, like, even like the way we've processed food, that has been
Yes.
designed to
That's
create
right.
chemical interactions in your body.
Amen. And
So
your
these
brain.
are,
It makes you dysfunctional sometimes how we eat.
we feed it, and it does.
That's
Do you
right.
think it makes any money for us to heal? Like, through, like, if I told you that instead of putting stents in hearts, we could use aspirin, cost pennies versus thousands of dollars. Like, that's
That's right.
medical science. I'm not just talking about it. We have to ask who's got the most at stake here, to win or to lose. And
That's
then go
right.
to your true knowing and your body. If you haven't read Power versus Force, you can literally test this message out, and it's called body testing. And it's a really easy way for you to find truth. And whether or not you want to do this, I wasn't really, I wasn't sure about it, because I wanted to be like, what's the proof? And I had my kids test it. We tested everything in my kitchen. And that's where, like, when I look and I'm like, will this resonate? Does this feel safe? I can test it with that. So you
Yep.
have a higher sense of knowing. Your body has a higher sense of knowing. If you are feeling icky after what you eat, that's a sense that that's not really great for you. So I love chocolate cake. I love the way it tastes. It does not like me back. So
Yes,
everything in
that's
moderation,
right.
right?
It's interesting that you're saying this, because I'm actually, for the first time ever, releasing 2 books at once. I arm test every single book before I let it out to the public, and it has to vibe at a certain number before I let it go. And I've been doing this for, I don't know, 40. I'm into the 40s now. I'm the 39th and the 40th book are going out this month. And so what I want to say that I think is so important for everyone to know is that spirituality and business go together. And the thing about what we're talking about today, right now, is that what happens when you have business is that the thing that has been blocking you for all of your life is the first thing that's going to show up. The thing that has stopped you, blocked you, everything. Business is how you get paid to grow spiritually. And one of
Oh,
the things that is here right now is that Ben, I see you guys so much. I love you all so much. Here we go. I hate the phrase "keep your voice down." Dang it, I'm loud. Behind every strong woman is a story that gave her no other choice. That's right. Thank you. And Ben, thank you for this 40th.
40th
Congrats.
book. How amazing is that?
Well, thank you. And what I want to go back to is the divinity in you. As it grows, it rises up in consciousness. She's been talking about this map of consciousness. There is a point where the human experience is in the unconscious frequencies or vibrational knowings. It's 199 and down. It's
Mhm.
and 200 and up is in the map of consciousness, which you can read in the book Power versus Force. That's what we're talking about right now. What she's sharing is fundamentally one of the most important things you can know. And I want to be super clear because she is giving these bombs away, and I want to make sure that you have them. And one of them is when you rise up in consciousness, because she had a boatload of choices. She could have been bitter forever. She could have chosen to take her trauma and her PTSD and drug it forever. She could have chosen. Why did she choose what she chose? Because despite what happened to her, she knew who she was. She knew that these were experiences she chose, that they didn't define who she was, that where she was right now had nothing to do with who she was, or what happened to her right now had nothing to do with who she actually was. And she chose to dig who she was out from underneath the rubble, dust herself off, and say, what do we want to create? The second you put yourself in that mindset, you have risen to above 200. And as you continue to rise and forgive and self love and self journey, you will start to get a more vast view of what's possible for you. And what she did was turn, I'm going to use a phrase from an old 1970s movie. She turned shit into shinola. And so that's from Steve Martin's The Jerk. I mean, that's how old the movie is. But it is that ability that raises you from the ashes. What you're seeing in Lindsay is the phoenix rising. That's the thing that is happening here. The phoenix is rising. And what I want to let you know is I don't know where you are right now. I don't know if you feel like crap, or you feel suicidal, or you've had a trauma happen to you, or a trauma happened to somebody in your family, whether you've lost them. I know that whatever rubble you are under, your soul inside you going into that heart, that deep place, that's where the phoenix inside you can rise. And I think the sharing that in that conscious map is what Lindsay is giving you. Have I missed anything? Is there one other thing you want to share with them as well? Because I think what you're saying is so, so important.
I think that also the part here is there's degrees of those emotions. And so like grief is one of the grief and fear, which is one of our
Mhm.
primary primal motivations. Like that's a much lower vibration than things like anger. So sometimes like there's no bad emotion. I want to be really clear here. Like what all of them are ways to output and process. So, but how do we go through that? And for like the biggest thing that I would say, and one of my personal values is I say, well, one, choose intentionally to intentionally live your
Mhm.
life. But the other part was do all things with love. And love is a
Ooh,
certain
yes.
vibration. And so like if you look over here, I surround myself with the things that are around me, but choose love. And that means that when I showed up in front of my killer, the person who killed my brother, the killer that who took my brother's life away, that I said, I forgive you.
Yeah.
I forgive you. It doesn't mean I forget. It
Ooh, my
doesn't mean I
hair
forget,
stands up.
but I said I forgive you. And truly like like hate is like a poison that you drink hoping somebody else will die.
Yeah,
And it contaminates your whole well of your experience. And so
absolutely.
so I sat with a lot of people who were in my family, and they said, I don't agree with that statement. Or I believe in capital punishment. These things I don't, because I don't believe any soul is evil. Yes. That means even
Absolutely. That's correct. Fundamentally, that's the truth.
and that
No
means even
soul
the
is
ones who've
evil.
done a very, very, you think of Hitler, I don't
Mhm.
think was it his soul is not evil. He did choose, and we can always choose light and dark. That's what the yin and yang represents. There's always duality. That means I'm not perfect. I have made terrible choices. I have made wrong, and I have asked for forgiveness, and I choose to do better, mostly because I have done some of those things. But maybe I didn't know that to do better, and it was an experience for me. And so a lot of the things that come into my
Mhm.
life, I had to make a deliberate decision of whether or not that defined me or I could do better. So when I look for what I'm trying to do, I look and see how I can do more, or how can I correct. And let me also give you one piece that I'm feeling the need to tell you. You need to forgive yourself for doing the very best you possibly could at any given moment.
I was thinking the same thing in that exact moment. I'm so
That's why I was
glad.
like,
Say
something's
more
telling me to say
about
this
that.
right now.
It wanted to be said. I could feel that. And I was like, oh, say more about that.
So what I
Forgiveness is
mean is that
huge.
I have a fundamental belief that every single person, no matter where they're at or any vibration, they are doing the absolute best they possibly can, even at their darkest moments, that they are merely trying to survive. And survival is a really low energy, right? Like that's not a way that we can live our most abundant, prosperous life. And I mean abundance in everything. In health, it can be financial. Financial is how we tend to do that. But whatever it is, our most abundant life comes when we forgive all of the past versions of ourselves. The one who was homeless, the one who made choices living from her body, the one who, made a bad decision, who ended up hurting somebody, the one who said the wrong thing at any given time. And that was like yesterday for me, like that person, I have to forgive her and I have to let it go, because then I can integrate, I can choose to do better, because the only thing I can impact, let me just be really clear here, in the time continuum, we have now. That is the only time that exists. So choose now.
Right.
Choose now. And in that quantum field, what we're talking about means that there is no time. There is no time except now. So you choose today. You cannot go back and fix what happened before. You can go back and choose today of how you're going to make the change going forward. So in your timeline right now is the choice to make. Forgive yourself. Choose love. Choose what joy, and that joy, joy resonates higher than love. Technically, I kind of feel like they're about even. And when I define them, I think of them as the same. But of the greatest of all of these is love. That's what Jesus said, right? He's right. Okay. He had that one down.
I'm going to put you on the spot right now.
Woo.
because as I was listening to her talk, I could feel out there are listeners that are in the middle of a trauma right now. Like maybe you're ill and maybe you're going through a pretty big illness, or maybe you've lost everything in a fire, or maybe you've lost everything in the floods or the hurricanes. Maybe your relationship is absolutely turning over right now. And for some reason, I thought I could feel, not thought, I could feel the want to have Lindsay say something to you. And I'm not sure what that is, but I can tell you, I know that you're in something that is very painful right now, the painful part of it. And maybe you need some encouragement, or maybe you need some matter of factness. I'm not sure. But I was kind of prompted to allow you to just share with them what you want to share with them while they're in it, while they're listening to you and in it. And I just take your time with that, and just, I'm not sure what the thing is. I just know that while you're in it, you're asking this question and probably afraid to type it into the comments.
So I'm going to say, one of my favorite quotes is that everyone is fighting some battle that you know nothing of. And I'm not going to quantify that battle, because you are battling it right now. So the first thing that you need to think about here is, who am I being in this moment?
Ooh.
What am I choosing for myself? And what I mean by that is that fear is a choice. Fear is conditioned. What I'm asking yourself is, look at it in its eyes without the fear. What I mean is, look at it. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're facing a diagnosis. Let's say you're facing bankruptcy. Let's say you're facing a divorce. Let's say you're facing success. Actually, any of those things can feel absolutely terrifying. What's the worst that can happen? Okay, so let me give you the worst. The worst is death. All right, so let me just tell you here. Somebody needs to hear this right now. This is not the end. There is no end, okay? You are eternal. You cannot be destroyed. Okay, next. What is the opposite of that? What is the very best that could possibly happen? What if you found your true purpose? What if you found your abundance? What if you found the love that you were meant to? What if you found the partnership? What if you found the soulmate of the connections of the people around you. You like, I find my customers, they're family for me. They're not customers. We are part of a bigger movement. We are changing the world little by little. So when I look at it, I want you to look at the spectrum of not just what fear is giving you, because fear is what you've made your decision up until this point now. But what if I let that fear go? What if I bless that fear, that gift that it gave me, and then I let it go? And I said, what if I chose to live believing that the universe is conspiring for me and my success? And I'm going to say, for every story of failure, there are the small percentage of people who have been massively successful. They've overcome the most awful diagnoses. They've looked death in the eye. And I can tell you that I am that person as well. And I've chosen a different path. All you need to do is choose to believe that the world is here to give you what you need. And that might, and I'm going to say, that doesn't mean necessarily that that it is complete abundance. That might not be what your soul has chosen. That may not be, because you've asked for a different experience, but it is your choice. It is 100% your choice right now, but you must choose. If you are a passenger in this choice, you will give whatever comes to you. You must make the decision first. That's what I feel called to tell you.
Oh my gosh, you're going to wreck me. I'm trying not to cry on my own show here, but I think that is the most fundamental thing, is that sometimes when we're in the trauma or we're experiencing the trauma, we feel as though we don't have choice. And that comes back to empowering yourself. Yes. Thank you, Karen. Lindsay, I'm in tears. Thank you for touching me so deeply. Thank you. Thank you. And I think this is the most important thank you, you guys. I see all this love coming in. Thank you for, you can bring all the loves in, everything else. And so what I want to continue with is, because we feel disempowered when something happens to us, like maybe we lost a bodily function. Like, I have someone in my life who I absolutely love, who's very young and just had a stroke, and recovering from that, and having to relearn something, where you're relearning to walk again, or talk again, or move again, or do things again. I want to go back to something I think that is really important that Lindsay said earlier, that I think is so empowering right now as we continue the conversation, and that is about forgiveness. Now, somewhere along the line out there, somebody is listening right now who's done something atrocious that you cannot forgive yourself for, I can feel right now that you are listening and asking, you haven't received the forgiveness from the person that you harmed, did something to, and you can't forgive yourself. And somehow, I think this is important. It's weird. I've never had a show where these kinds of intuitions are coming in and saying, tell her to talk about this, and tell her to talk about that, and tell her to talk about this. So I'm going to stay in this wave, but this is fascinating to me, and working together. So for those people who are saying, oh my God, I did this, I'm a horrible person, I could never be forgiven, I can't move forward, I can't move on with my life, I'm wondering, what can you share with them? I'm putting her on the spot. We did not plan this. This is just here in the moment. And thank you for being willing to be with me in this moment as we do this. And I would love for you to share what you need to share with that, and take your time as you would.
There's somebody in my life who is facing this. And so I almost had tears just listening to you say that. And so I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, which is that you are already forgiven. And in fact, you don't even need that forgiveness. The person who actually you need to get forgiveness from is yourself. So humanity is what the human inside of you, the ego inside of you, is what holds on to things like hate and forgiveness. And so if you have the opportunity, and sometimes those people are here, sometimes they're not. And that's in the really hard time is when they're not accessible to you, or they're no longer. And I just want you to know you have access to them still. So that's the thing you need to know, is that they're here. And in when you take away and you strip away who you are in this body without your ego, you just are. There's nothing. I'm just going to say the embodiment of love is what exists. Okay.
That's it.
So sometimes when we are in that moment, and I'll give you an example. There's somebody in my life, and they think that this person who's gone in particular hates them. Like they're the reason why they're not there is it's their fault. And I mean, we're talking about tragedy, absolute tragedy. And I want you to know that that soul chose that experience. You had nothing to do with it. How we react to it is actually what we need to choose. And I'm going to tell you a quick story here. And I have a lot of access to a lot of information that is not in the here and now. So what I'm telling you here is there was a channeling for me, and what ended up coming through was my brother. And what happened is I went and I sat with ayahuasca, which is a plant spirit medicine, a very, very powerful medicine. And I needed proof of what I was talking about. That's why I did it. And if you see, like, all these people they want to tap in, like the proof that this is not just it. We know that there's an awakening, a great awakening. The age of Aquarius is upon us. The awakening is here. Some of us, if you're listening to it now, you're part of it. That's why I'm here to tell you this message. And I kept having this experience before I'd even taken anything, which is just a vine, it's just a plant. And I kept hearing Matthew. And I don't know a Matthew. So I was like, I asked the people who were around, I was like, do you know Matthew? Do you know Matthew? Like, why am I getting this message? And the person who was the medium for me said, your brother is saying something. He said something about Matthew. Do you know Matthew? This was months later. And I go, no, I don't know who Matthew is. The only Matthew I can come up with is I'm like, the disciple.
The Bible, Matthew.
Yeah, that's all I got. And so, and she goes, Matthew, what are you saying? 3:16. And I was like, I know John 3:16. I don't know Matthew 3:16. And this is what I'm just going to tell you is this is the message for my mom, who cannot forgive herself for her son losing his life, that she feels it's her fault. And he said, this is the message that your mom needs to hear from him. And it said, Jesus, when he was baptized, went directly up from the water, and below the heavens were opened unto him. He saw the Spirit of God descending as a dove and coming upon him. Lightning was upon him. And she goes, that is what he saw when his soul died. His sight was the last thing he lost, which is what I already knew. I can see my brother's body. I never saw it. I never saw the pictures. I know exactly how he passed away. And I knew that his sight was the last thing that left his body. He spent 8 minutes bleeding to death on the floor without pain. But he did. And his experience was, though, that his soul, he saw what it was like to be welcomed back into what the afterlife is like. Yes. And so I'm telling you this because I need you to know that this is not the end, that you have access to all this information too. I am not particularly special in that sense. It's just that you've denied it. And the food that we eat and the things that you drink and the access of information or the questioning of beliefs that have been handed to you by other things, that's what's kept you small. That's what's kept you into the matrixed environment. But you have access to all this information. So you don't need forgiveness is what I'm trying to tell you. So just like the access to my brother said, there's why. What the whole point was, I don't know. She doesn't need it. But here's what she needs to hear is that I was welcomed into heaven, and whatever you want to believe heaven is, which I believe there is no heaven or hell. There's just the existence afterwards, which is just love. And that all is well. All is well is what I hear. I need to tell you. All is well. Yeah. And in any given moment, what you are going through is meant to make you better and to prepare you for whatever's next. You're meant to experience this in the here and now. So just know whatever you're feeling right now, it is meant to happen. Okay. And what I say is, would I take this and what do I choose for myself next? That's how you move forward. And you just have to make a decision. But love and forgiveness, those two things are the themes I keep hearing. I need you to know love and forgiveness are the answer.
Yeah, and I hear puppy love in the background as well.
Yeah, I have some puppies over here.
Yeah, we keep mine somewhere else. That
they bark otherwise if they're not in here. They like to be a part of it.
I want to say, if you have a question for Lindsay, then you can write it in the comment below. This has been profound, and I'm going to switch gears again because this is the point right here about being, and I want to say, multidimensional in your career path, because the multidimensionality of here is This is my business, and this is my business and purpose. And today we've had a blend of the two. And I want to spend this last minute, like, what if somebody decided they wanted to be part of your dream hack
Dream job hack.
experience, dream job
Yeah.
hack? What if they wanted to, communicate with you? What if they wanted to get in touch with you, etc.? Where can they go? Where can they find you? Tell us about how they can connect with you, other than
Absolutely.
divinely guided connection.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, we are all one at the end of the day. We are all
Yeah.
so incredibly connected. But if you are looking to continue the journey, if you are looking to be a part of the magic, if you are looking to be in the community, if my vibe is something that really resonates with you, that means you're vibrating at that higher frequency and you're ready to call in the next level, whatever that is. And I invite people in my circle to continue that pathway with me. And so if it might be that you are thinking, oh, I do need a job change, and that's totally great. Hang out with me tomorrow. You can just go to dreamjobhack.com. But I am a human before I am a business owner. I am a soul before I'm a human.
That's
And
right.
so my soul is asking, if you are feeling called to do such, reach out to me. I'd love to have human connection. I don't see, like, people love to look at, like, how many leads do I have? How many I'm like, how many heartbeats do I have on my list? That's what I look at. How many heartbeats? How many people are in my life that are here? So if it's something, and I'll also be, for those that are going to be at Funnel Hacking Live, I'll be there next week as well. And so I would love to connect with you. So you can find Facebook and Instagram are probably the easiest ways to reach me, and just send me a note and tell me what touched you. And we continue the conversation, and I'll give you some guidance on what's next for you. That's one of my gifts here, is to be a little bit of an oracle in that sense.
Love
And
that.
to know that all is well.
I want you guys to know that before I started the coffee break show today, I had no idea she was an oracle. This is all about it just happening. So, yes, you can also, thank you for putting the dreamjobhack.com in there in that. So if you're driving or you're listening to the replay, there it is, dreamjobhack.com. You can converse with her and or let your divinity connect with her, etc. Lindsay, I am full-hearted, really full-hearted. My hair stood up a few times. I feel like so blessed that we decided to both be in it together and let it unfold as it's happened. I think you're inspirational because this is a conversation about how we get from where we are to where we actually want to be, and how you did it, how it happened. It is so amazing what you shared and how many absolute gifts you gave everybody, how much how to you gave everybody. And I want to deeply thank you for saying yes to me, because I didn't give her much notice. I was like, ooh, it's now. Lindsay, do you want to be on now? When I get the punch, and she replied right back, yes, let's do it. So thank you for being on the Coffee Break Show. I just want to say, if you have one last thing that you wanted to share with them, other than everything is okay, because everything is okay, what would that
I
be?
feel the need to say I love you. Who's ever tuning in and whoever needs to hear this, if you're feeling unloved, unseen, not heard, small, diminished, just know I love you exactly as you are. And I
Amen.
hope in turn that you recognize that love inside of yourself and connect with me if you're feeling the need to have a conversation. And just know I'm very thankful that you tuned in and for being a part of this energy and this magic.
Awesome. You guys, there's only one thing left to do, and you guys know what it is. Nobody gets out of here without listening to the music.